Hello, I am Jameson and welcome to my channel. In this series, I am logging my weekly training as I progress from being at one of my lifetime lows all the way to completing a full Ironman triathlon. Like forging a weapon, you start with raw material. You process it through fire and work away the slag. You quench it with water to lock in its strength. And then you sharpen and fine-tune it to bring it to its peak optimal performance. In this case, I am the raw material. So please show your support as I go through the process to forge an Ironman. All right, yeah, so it's been a minute. So yeah, I know last time I was talking, it was about 3 weeks ago. It's funny, I was actually talking about, consistency with doing my videos and stuff. It's not even a big job, but just having other things going on, it's kind of distracting for me. And did I ever mention that I actually have, ADD? I don't really talk about that a whole lot, especially in the past when I was around a lot of manly men. You don't really, socially, you don't talk about weaknesses and stuff. I can't deny the fact that my mind has always operated this way. It's called being not neurotypical, and I've never taken meds for it, so I've always just sort of struggled. Done this and that. I've done some meditation stuff. I've done a lot of exercise and a lot of different things to try and get me focused, try and be healthy. But all in all, it's just my life's struggle. It's a curse as well as sometimes a blessing. It's a curse in the ways that, well, it's obviously the struggle part of it, but a blessing in the way that it gives me a different perspective on life that I think a lot of other people tend to overlook. But yeah, so anyways, I'd like to be able to say that these past 3 weeks that I haven't been making videos, that I've been training this entire time, but that's not exactly true. But I haven't necessarily been sitting on my butt the whole time. I have been doing some workouts, some exercises here and there. I think primarily what had me sit out for just a little bit was I was doing some long runs and stuff in my old shoes. My old shoes were imitation shoes. They weren't really authentic running shoes. They just didn't have very good support. And my feet were really, really taking a beating from it. Had sort of this loose, clicky feeling in my foot. I don't think it was a stress fracture, but I think it was something more like a tendon somewhere around its attachment site. I don't know. It just felt icky, not very good. So I laid off for a little bit. Honestly, I haven't done a whole lot of cycling. Some of the runs that I've been doing have just been me running around the field, timing and kind of managing the track team that I'm coaching. So I guess I could kind of consider me running across the field a few times. It's me doing some strides, which is perfectly fine for this phase of training anyways. But I'm not really training as hard as I had originally planned to be training at this point. I do have my first sprint triathlon coming up in late May, and I really do need to be solid for that. So I have about 2 months before that time. Now I could sit here and be disappointed about me not being where I really want to be right now, or I can consider the fact that I've lost about 35 pounds since October and that I'm doing pretty well and in a lot better position than I was before. I used to actually really take that very seriously, and actually I used to be sort of self-punishing over the fact that I didn't stick to a plan to the T. But as time goes on, I've realized that, plans are only plans and that nothing will ever go exactly as planned. But it is still important to make a plan. Just because plans do not always go as planned does not mean that you do not make a plan and strive to stick to it, because it is at least going to get you a lot closer to the target than having not made a plan. Now, I haven't read the book, but I know my friend Michael was talking before about some book, some guy talking about 10 times rule. I guess some popular entrepreneurial figure was talking about this rule of set your goal 10 times higher than you want. So kind of the same philosophy, I guess. But yeah, with the whole ADD thing, or inattentive ADHD, it really does make it quite a struggle trying to get stuff done, especially in the situation that I am in, taking care of my dementia mom. When I go to track practice, I have to have somebody show up and they take care of my mom for a few hours while I go to do a little bit of coaching. When we have a track meet, we had to replan things to have somebody here for a longer period of time. And I also have to sort of make up some type of little plan for that person to do things during their time here. And sometimes it can actually be a little bit more of a struggle for me to plan out what someone else is gonna do than to just go do it myself. So a lot of times I just kind of leave everything open-ended and be like, hey, figure it out. You're not getting paid for me to do all the work. And then there's the never-ending loop of my dementia mom talking about her struggles with the person who is here watching her. So whether there's somebody here watching her or not, there's gonna be a problem, either way. Also, every single time that I want to get up and go for a run during the day, or even just sit on my bike and pedal in the garage, there's this long process of getting my mom to understand what I'm doing. She has to get a pen and notepad so that she can write it down. She asked me several times. She comes to interrupt my workouts a lot. And then even after her finally understanding that I'm going out for a run, I'll still get back before the time that I told her that I had to be back, and she'll have her angry pouty face on, all upset. Oh, you didn't tell me you were going. I didn't know what was going on. And I tried to call you several times, and of course my phone has tried to call my phone a whole bunch of times. It's just a very small tip of the iceberg of sort of the struggles of dealing with somebody with dementia. There's a lot more to it that I'm not gonna dive into. All in all, daily life is a struggle. My mind has also sort of started to dive back into computer programming a little bit. As I've talked about before, I was working on learning Unreal Engine for game development. I have some very specific entrepreneurial ideas that I want to do with that, and I spend a lot of time learning how to work with the game engine. I set it aside for a little bit of time, but now I'm getting back to learning a little bit more C++, actual C++. So trying to get my head wrapped around that, practicing it, thinking about it, all that in the midst of all the other chaos going on, along with already having focus problems. That's been a little bit of a struggle. And then trying to pull my mind out of that to think about, just keeping up with my workouts, making another video, planning workouts for the athletes, making review sheets of how their track meet went, sending out mass announcements to the team, texting and communications with coaches, planning the athletes' entries for their track meets. Just a whole bunch of little things that you don't really talk about a whole lot that still has to get done with an operating system that doesn't have a whole lot of RAM to deal with. Anyways, I hope I don't sound too complainative or like I'm giving a whole lot of excuses. So I'm gonna put the camera down. I'm gonna go out for my run after I get my mom to write it down and understand what I'm doing. Yes, my run went fine. I warmed up. I ran down to a little park in the neighborhood. It was about 1 kilometer run to warm up, and then the little loop over there is a kilometer, so everything was a kilometer. I did cruise intervals for my lactic threshold. I planned to run them in about 4:40, but I did most of them in like 4:20. The first one I actually did too fast. I did it in about 3:40. And then of course I did about 50 seconds of rest in between each one. And then of course a kilometer to cool down. I ended up doing a total of about 5 miles, 8 kilometers or so. Yeah, I really like doing the lactic threshold training. It leaves me with a pretty good runner's high afterwards, kind of relaxed and chill. But yeah, another word on the topic of living with my mom with dementia. Some days are worse than others. What'll happen is, I'll try to spend a little bit of time with her, doing something in the day because she wants the attention or whatever. And then you think that it's okay to just go and do what I've been wanting to do for the rest of the day. I think I got that out of the way, but no, the neediness never stops. I don't get my quiet time. I don't get my morning meditation wake up stuff anymore. It's been years since I've done any of that. But yeah, so I perform a dumb task like helping her find her phone, or for the millionth time, or try to explain something that's not even a problem, why it's not a problem, till I just kind of give up or whatever. Just a bunch of non-issues that are issues. That's how it goes with dementia. I try to focus on something on the computer, like learning how to do programming, but then I get interrupted every 5 minutes for something that's senseless. it frustrates me, and so then I end up playing video games for about 5 to 20 minutes just to get a dopamine response and kind of relax from the interruption and all the frustration. And then once I finally get myself kind of calmed down a bit, ready to try and learn something again, here comes some more ridiculous interruptions. That's been my life for the past 2.5 years now. It's part of why I gave up everything in the first place and just decided to let myself get fat and kind of just give up. I'm into the same situation constantly, but I guess I've finally had enough rest from being fat that I decided to start losing it. Same problems, same frustrations, just different day. Anyways, yeah, this video is kind of negative, kind of sucks. Not exactly what you'd expect after 3 weeks. Not really a video so much about all my training and stuff, but it's just a part of the process of what it's taking me to get to where I'm trying to go, part of the frustrations along the way. Anyway, see you next time.